Hey guys, Luke here, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are reacting again to Brandon Shepherd's I Tried the Internet's Most Viral Design Challenges video. And he's really good, so please go subscribe to him, and subscribe to me, like the video if you want to see more of this. Anyways, let's go.
I'm putting it all on the line by tackling some of the internet's most popular...
Okay, if you don't want to see any pausing, then please go watch the video for yourself. But, Blindfold... out of all these, I think the hardest one is going to be gender swap, depending on what logo he chooses. And but judged by the thumbnail of the video, he's changing the, actually, wait, I'm not going to tell you. But the realistic one's going to be hard as well. I think he's going to fail most on the memory one. And the blindfold. I mean, all these are hard, so let's just get...
challenges. I'll be drawing logos from memory, changing the styles of mascots, and seeing if 5 minutes really is long enough to create a billion-dollar brain. Alright guys, so I've got 6 design challenges for today. I've got my trusty drawing tablet, so let's get started and see how it goes. First up, I'm going to be drawing a logo from memory, and that logo is Firefox. Not because I really use Firefox that often.
I don't remember Firefox logo.
To be honest, I'm not that familiar with the new Firefox logo. I've seen the old one quite a bit though, and I know they're not that different. So I'm just going to try to start sketching something out here. I definitely know we've got a big planet, or at least a circle that's supposed to represent a planet, if you can call that a circle. And then the fox kind of wraps around that with his little head up here, some kind of body going around the planet, and the tail finishes up somewhere.
Yeah. This is what I'm thinking of.
So the tail is definitely supposed to be a flame, hence the name Firefox. Can't remember exactly how far it goes down the body though, but I think something like that is pretty close. The main thing though is I can't remember exactly which way his head is pointed. I'm not sure if it's up kind of like this, or if it's off to the side like that. I think it's up though, so we'll just go with something like that.
Nah, I don't think it's up. I think it was to the side.
Feet or not. I'm not sure, but I think it makes sense if he's hugging the earth. He's got to hold on somehow, right? And then just fix his back a little bit. Okay, now that we've got that, I'll get that.
Actually, wait, no, I don't remember the arms.
Friend here will be that orange color we are all familiar with. I'm using a smoother brush to get some nice crispy lines. Get his feet in here, which I'm honestly starting to think aren't actually supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it, I almost forgot. He is supposed to have little sideburns, I think, coming off.
Yeah, he's a fox.
Just get that colored in and see where we're at.
I think he's right besides the arms.
More like fur and less like jello. And apparently I drew him like he had a stub for a nose, so let's just fix that. And I'm pretty sure his body is supposed to be a little more circular to match the planet, and then kind of taper off here at the tail. I do know the planet definitely has some type of like blue gradient on it. I don't think it goes all the way.
Yeah, it does. It has blue gradient.
Kind of a lighter cyan right in the middle. Now the fox definitely
with like a glow in the middle. Yeah.
More defining features like the whiskers.
He's just adding this part.
This is probably super far off, but I'm just going to try to make it look okay. That shadow should follow down along the body. Maybe even it's supposed to be a little bit bigger. Then it kind of fades out towards the bottom, as well as along some of these inner points, just to make the lighting look a little more realistic. The tail, though, is definitely supposed to be in layers, right? Where it kind of gets brighter the further it goes out, to make it look like an actual flame. And these just kind of fade into each other, give it a nice smooth look. I don't know, something about that looks really wrong. Maybe I just need more of a contrast between the layers or something. Maybe this just come out a little further. Shadow in here. Now that that's looking a little better, I'm going to give him some yellow color down towards the tail. So we get a nice, pretty gradient. And I'm not sure if it's on the new one, but I know the old one has some really nice white fur around the nose. They kind of tapered off here at the seam. One last touch of shading around the whole thing. And I'm almost certain they don't have any detail on the planet anymore. So you know what, guys? We're just going to call this done and see how we did. Okay, the moment of truth. Well, apparently this is the real thing. Seems I got basically everything.
That is a downgrade.
A circle and some kind of fox, so that's not too bad. The big miss here was obviously the size of the planet, and I knew the head was supposed to be pointed to the side. Something just felt kind of off about it though, so I went with this. And of course, they just amputated his legs. I still think he looks better with them. Actually though, my version is not too terribly off from some of the older ones. My basically matches this one here, and the fox actually does have a leg in this version. And I guess my tail is somewhat similar to the very oldest version, but really all in all, it was a pretty poor effort. I'll give this a C+, and let's move on. Up next, I'm going to be taking away one of my most important drawing tools, my eyes. The
blindfold.
The Pringles logo
oh no, this is gonna look bad.
The old, better version, mainly just because it's gonna be easier to draw. I'm gonna set myself up for success and go ahead and get some colors.
He's gonna draw the new logo as well. Yeah. I think that would be easier.
Although it'll probably be apparent by how poor the drawing is. Without further ado, here we go. Eyes closed, and we'll start with the big egg head, nice and white. I think coloring stuff in is gonna be the hardest part of this. I'm gonna try to get it close. Obviously not gonna be able to get the whole thing, but hopefully I don't leave too many little blots anywhere. Okay, now the trick is I need some black. But I've only got white and red in the color palette. But I do know if I take my hand, lay it on my drawing tablet, where the corner of my hand is roughly where the color picker is. If I click that and then drag all the way down, that should be black, theoretically. I hope it is.
This guy is so good.
Back on the face here. Okay, we're gonna go one eye there, one eye here. Mustache should be bigger on this side and then smaller on this side.
Oh.
Try to the best I can, getting this side as well. Now two little brows above the eyes, and now I know the shortcut to switch to the red color, which I need for the bow tie. And that's gonna go right around here, I think. Cover it in, nice and pretty. I tell you, coloring in is by far the hardest part of this, and it's probably gonna make it look really bad. But what does a man to do who can't see? We'll switch back to the other color, which is black. I'll use my hand trick again to find the color picker and push it all the way up. But see, the problem with that is when you move your hand from the area, you don't know where you left off. So I'm thinking I'm probably somewhere around here. Just need to write Pringles.
Oh no.
Pringles. G, I know the letters like get smaller towards the middle of the bow and bigger as they go out. All right, let's see how we did. No.
It's atrocious.
Well, I don't know what I was expecting, but I had hoped I'd do a little better than that. Looks like I didn't quite get the color picker trick to work that time, but you know, I think overall it's got like a little charm to it. I mean, I could see this on a box of Pringles. All right, guys, I'm gonna give this an A+, and we're gonna move on. And with that, we are on to our next challenge, Style Swap, where I'm gonna be taking a brand and changing its style. And for this, I have chosen the Captain Crunch mascot.
I've never had Captain Crunch.
I'll be redrawing him in the style of one of my favorite shows, The Simpsons. And for my own sanity, I'm just gonna be doing the head of the
I've
captain.
never watched
But first, I need
it.
to show you guys something. Have you seen the new Captain Crunch? I mean, look at him. I don't know, man. I just kind of feel like they killed our boy here. It's just so uncanny for some reason. I don't know if it's the dead eyes or what, but I definitely prefer the older one. So in that spirit, let's get back to our cartoon Captain Crunch. And I'll just drag Homer over here for a base. Because most of the Simpsons characters look pretty similar, so we can just use a lot of these same shapes to start building out the captain. Especially things like the eyes and the nose. Now, because The Simpsons is an animated cartoon, they tend to keep their objects pretty simple. So I'll make a slightly simpler version of the hat here that wraps around this big old noggin. But unlike Homer, the captain actually has a little bit of hair around the sides. But it is interesting because most Simpson characters don't actually have eyebrows, except for Milhouse, but he doesn't really count. Now, of course, Homer has his big round mouth with like a 5 o'clock shadow, but since Captain Crunch is clean-shaven, I feel like he'd have more of a mouth like Bart. Something a little flatter that just kind of leads into that big Simpson smile, since the captain appears to be pretty happy. The teeth on these characters are usually just little jagged things, and a tongue to fill in the mouth. I think that whole thing would be a bit wider, actually. And of course, the pride of our captain here is his mustache. And when you look at characters in The Simpsons that actually have mustaches, it's basically Ned Flanders with your basic umbrella mustache. But I did find an episode where Homer and Bart try to become businessmen.
You've just won $10 million!
And it looks like their mustaches resemble the captain's, so I'm going to say putting something like that in here is probably okay. But I will make it a little smaller just to make sure it doesn't cover up the mouth. The last thing we need to get in is the big collar, which just wraps right around the neck with the decorative stripes, and of course those golden
Oh, that looks so good so far.
And since my ability to draw a perfect circle is kind of poor, I'm going to cheat and use a shape, but of course it's not really cheating if you don't get caught. And now it's really just a matter of outlining the character with a thin black outline to match the rest of the characters in the show. Just gotta make sure his eyeball doesn't pop through his nose. Thankfully, when it comes to The Simpsons, they don't really use different thicknesses for their lines. It's all just kind of the same weight, which makes the outlining process much easier. But honestly, this is by far my favorite part of illustrations. I love taking something that's in a sketch and looks kind of rough and making it look nice and clean with final line work. Because it's really just a good chance
Oh my word, the
to
mustache. It's puffy on one side and small on the other side. No. Please fix that. Please, no. No, not a sponsor, please.
First 500 people span that selection, and on a layer below the line work, you can fill it. We'll get 1 month of Skillshare.
No.
That's all done. All
Yeah, there we
have
go.
to do is color. And as to find the best way to do that is to select all the things that you want the same color, expand that selection, and on a layer below the line work, you can fill it in with perfectly smooth edges.
Ooh,
Of course, the
nicely.
hair, eyes, and teeth are all going to be white. The skin will be yellow because this is a Simpsons character. The tongue will be red, and the tassels will, of course, be
Oh,
gold. On second
nice.
thought, I might make his hair gray just for some more contrast. And we can't forget the C on the hat and the gold accent on the collar. And normally this would be it, because the characters don't really have any shading detail in the actual show. But in the Simpsons movie, and in a lot of their promo materials, they tend to render out the characters a bit more. So I'm gonna do
Ooh,
that here
nice.
just by adding in some shadows here.
I wish there was
to make
more
it look like
shadows in
light
The
is
Simpsons.
shining on his face. So
I mean, it'd be
definitely have
harder
some of these
to
big
animate, but it would
stand
look
right under
so
the
good.
nose. And we'll shade basically everywhere. part of him so it all looks like a cohesive thing. It is kind of interesting when it comes to cartoons because some things that you think would definitely have shading, like here under the teeth, well, it actually just ends up looking a little overly detailed. So areas like that might just not get any shading at all. But the mustache is definitely not one of
It
those
looks
areas
so
because we want it to
nice.
feel big and bushy. Basically, all the hair on this side of his face will be covered in shadow, and from there, just a little bit to make the hat look 3D without overdoing it. Clothes, though, are generally one of the most important places
Oh
to show
yeah, and
shadow,
then
just
you
because you
get
really need that
some in
extra
there.
visual detail to tell what's going on, like where the folds in the fabric
Oh,
are and what
that's
pieces overlap each
nice.
other. Finally, I'll get the golden tassels down here and make them feel like they actually have some volume. And sometimes the characters would even get a little rim light on certain parts, just along the edge of the face. And all his clothes will need something like that too to match. And usually with this level of detail, we're going to get some bounce lighting too, and that'll just come from the opposite side of the main light source, flowing all the way down the neck, around the
Oh,
clothes,
I want to
finishing
be
off
like
along
this
the
guy.
tassels. And I think that basically wraps that one up.
Oh, that
So if you
looks
ever wondered what Captain
clean.
Crunch would look like if he was in The Simpsons, or I guess if Homer decided to become a sea captain and sell a bunch of sugary cereal, then he might look a little something like this. Who knows? Maybe we'll find this guy in the show someday. And now with 3 challenges down, we're moving on to our next one, and one of my favorite things to do, making logos realistic. And the logo
Ooh,
for this challenge is going to be Taco Bell. Somewhere I've
Taco
been eating quite a
Bell.
bit lately. So the obvious
That's a
first step
nice
into making
one.
this realistic is to try to find some type of bell. This one would almost work, but it's got too much of a focus blur here in the middle. Something like this, though, I think would work perfectly because it's really got the perfect shape. Just need to get rid of the handle, of course. And it's even got this little ball down here in the right
Oh,
spot
that's
already. Then I'll just
nice.
come in here and separate the bell into a few different parts. And that'll just give me some more control over the parts individually so I can get this thing to even better match the shape of the actual logo. I could even add more controls if I need to really refine what's going on.
Ooh.
Of course, it can be hard to warp things perfectly, so a little masking will help me finish up the rest of the way. And I can touch up some of these edges where the warping distorted things a bit too much. And I'll paint out some of these cracks to really make it feel like those are cut out of the middle. Now I've just got to figure out how to get this bottom part lined up. Maybe able to warp that into something that looks halfway decent, though I'm not entirely sure. Okay, I can tell I need to separate the ball first. Now let's try that again, and that is much better. I can hide that, and then use a duplicate layer to fill in that hole. Just need to fix up the shape of everything so it matches the
Ooh.
original. This ugly spot does look like it'd be a little tough to fix, but I think we can just reuse some of this texture, kind of fade it out so it matches the rest. A little healing brush here or there, and then some lighting adjustments to help that blend in. But now let's get that ball in place.
Yeah,
and
get the
stretch out
ball.
those
We need the
eyes.
ball
Maybe
now.
an easier way to go about this is to just make the shape of the ball that we want, and then use that as a mask to stretch this texture over. Then when you
Oh,
arrange the layers correctly,
genius.
that looks pretty good. The last step is just to
That
reshape
looks.
this
That
piece
is
here, which I
genius.
think I'll use a similar method for, and just warp those shines into more of a ball to match that shape better. Before I get into painting shadows and lighting and all that, I need
Oh,
something for this shape in the background that the bell rests on, and I'm thinking about just making that out of wood, because it kind of seems like it would match the bell color pretty well. Plus, wood is pretty common in bell towers. If I erase
yeah.
away some of the edges, it should look a little more like real wood instead of like perfect
Yeah,
shape,
like
which is what I
some
think I want.
nice
Heck, maybe we can even give it a big split over
imperfect.
here like it's been used a lot, and it's kind of worn and run down. And if I were to
Ooh.
say duplicate that, make it a little brighter, it actually starts to look a little 3D. Maybe just a smidge over this way so it's not perfectly aligned. Can't forget to connect the corners so it actually looks like a solid
Oh.
object. And then finally, we can actually start painting some lighting on here, making this side darker, like it's in shadow, especially in areas like these cracks over here, and places where it looks like it should kind of be carved out. Probably would be best to get rid of some of these lines so they don't look mirrored. And that big bell is going to cast quite a bit of shadow onto the wood backboard, which will also really help it pop off. The whole bell really just needs to be darkened up to match the new wood, then some extra lighting, of course, to blend in
Yeah,
with
it
everything
needs to
else.
be more
Like some
gold.
shadow in this side, a bunch of shading down here below, since most all of the light is going to be blocked from the top of the bell, and a touch on the ball as well. But let's not forget, where there is light, there is shine. And I want a nice big shine right down the middle of this so we can really see all that form and texture that the bell
Yeah.
has. And I'll definitely make sure to use that on the little ball down
The
here
gold.
so it really pops out
Oh.
from that dark background that's behind it. Some extra bounce lighting will help us better define the shape and make it so this bottom part doesn't feel so drab and desaturated. But what I really think this needs is a nice
Yeah,
rim light
a rim
around
light,
the
a rim
base
light,
to
yeah.
help it shine. I
It's
just
like
wanna
when
touch
the
up a
light
couple of these
bounces
shines
off,
here, and I realized
and there's
that
like
some of
little
this bell
white
was just
bits
a
in the
little
bottom.
too wobbly. And with that, there we have a realistic logo.
Oh,
I think it actually turned out pretty
perfect.
good. I think the colors,
Perfect
the
10.
lighting, and all that looks
A
really
plus.
nice. Does it resemble the Mexican cuisine Taco Bell is known for? I don't know. But
A
what I do
plus.
know is that with 4 challenges down, it's time for the next one. And for this one, we're going to be
Oh, you forgot to
swapping
rank
a
it.
famous logo, Starbucks. Because I think we've always
Yep,
wondered what the
I
Starbucks
saw it
logo
in the
would look like
thumbnail.
if the mermaid was
Gender
a
swap.
merman.
Mermaid
So,
Man.
let's start filling in the body a bit for our new undersea person. I imagine mermen are muscular. I guess it's hard to say, but this one definitely will be. Get rid of some of this extra hair here that we won't need, and get some big buff arms in here, which you know he's going to have from swimming underwater all day. Now, traditionally, one of the biggest differences when illustrating men and women are that women tend to have a rounder jawline, and men have a larger, sharper one. And their lips tend to not be so emphasized. Make the nose a tad wider, so it's not so petite. I think he needs a bit
Ooh.
more of a haircut too, but what I really want to add in is a big giant beard. Something that just kind of flows freely in the water, which will affect his mouth shape. You know, I almost think this is too small. I mean, the Starburst girl had huge, long, flowing hair, so if we want to stick to the theme, I think we've got to do the same for this. And to go
Oh,
with that, I'm
yes.
going to put some
Lovely.
extra dividers in that hair that sort of match the white strands in the original logo. Now, there's still something about this long, wavy hair that feels kind of feminine. I really think it's just the streaking shape, because if we fill that in a bit, it starts to look a little bit more like what you might expect. Typically, a king's crown is a little smaller than a queen's. At least that's the way it works in chess. But I will leave the star since it's Starbucks after all. I feel like my beard needs a little more work to maybe help it better match the hairstyle. It's honestly kind of a tricky balance between all this positive and negative space. Honestly, maybe I could just cut through here and just kind of let that white hair fade out into the body. Then I can get a few extra strands of green hair.
Oh,
flowing
like
off
a
there.
like
That should make
it
look
kind of has
little
like a
more wild
seaweed
and
texture.
adult. Let's square off those cheekbones and make sure the hair follows that line. Now, clearly, my body needs a lot of help, and anatomy is not my specialty, but maybe if I just round some of these off, I'll get something that looks decent. So, I spent the next half hour fiddling with this
Oh my
illustration.
what,
I gave him a
half an
much more
hour?
pronounced mustache, which really helped his overall look. The hairstyle was changed
Ooh, that
to
looks
feel kind
nicely.
of layered instead of being so flat. Then, I sculpted
Ooh.
the face to draw out some intensity around the eyes, added in a sweet six-pack, and finally, I went over the whole drawing to clean up all the edges. Honestly, that took so long, I think I grew a thicker beard, but in the end, I've got this guy right here, which I actually don't think turned out half bad. It still has the
That's
overall general
amazing.
vibe of the Starbucks logo, just with a guy instead of a gal. And my friends, we have gone through a lot of challenges today, but one remains. And for that,
The
I'm gonna see how good
5-minute.
I can recreate a famous mascot in just 5 minutes. And my mascot of choice is Buzz the Bee from Honey Nut Cheerios.
Never
My favorite
tried Honey Nut
He's got a ton
Cheerios.
going on. There's lots of shapes and gradients and materials. I think making this in 5 minutes is going to be a stretch. But think how much money I could save these guys if I could actually work that fast. So I'm going to stick him over here, get the clock ready, and we'll see what I can do in 5 minutes. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's start off with the eyeballs here. Just trying to get into the
Okay,
basic
good.
shapes
He's
really
using a
quickly.
reference
Hit this
because
kind
it
of
would be much harder.
those eyelids in. The amount of time I've had, this is going to be very messy most likely. I just want to get something that resembles the general shape in here. Okay, moving on to the neck. And now the shirt. The head is way off. Let's fix that there. Now get his behind in there. Got a few stripes going on. Then back to the sleeves. Okay. Got a hand going in. Very good. Very
Ooh, nice
good.
hand.
Hand wraps around something like that. Fingers on this side. I'll color pick over here to get this big wooden spoon. Well, I guess it's more of a honey dipper than a spoon, isn't it? That is kind of the entire idea of Honey Nut Cheerios. Okay, next his wings, so he can actually fly around like a bee normally would. Some pupils, so his eyes don't feel so dead. And a small little dividing line. Get the antennas in here. Dang, I almost forgot he had feet. Okay, no problem. We just took a little leg
Nicely
here,
done.
there.
2 minutes
I guess
left.
he's wearing the latest Nikes.
Needs to get-
Something like that. Okay, and with the time I have left, I'm going to try to do some shading to get this looking really nice.
You need to do his nose and his mouth,
Shading the
bro.
would help. Some sparkly teeth, a little tongue. I guess he has some bottom teeth too. And we'll try to get in some of these finer details in facial features. Maybe I'll just spend some more time on the actual honey stick. Give it a little bit of a detail, you know? Some of that nice honey drizzle coming
Yeah,
off
you
of
get
it.
the honey
Some
drizzle.
detail on the wings.
You get the
Fix his
detail on the
face right up here
wings.
with some highlights.
You get
That's
some
way
highlights
too
and some
bright.
shading
There we go.
just
Am
for
I
the last few
missing
seconds.
anything important? No, a little shading
The
on
shine in the
jacket,
eyes.
around the collar. I guess we're gonna have to call that good right there. I mean, you know, it could probably go on a box of Cheerios if the box was really, really small. But honestly, for the time limit, I don't think it's too bad. I was never gonna be able to do any of these smooth gradients and stuff like that. That actually makes it look good. But it does kind of have like a minimal abstract vibe going on with it. That looks kind of cool and also like.
Bro,
Well, my friends, I guess that wraps up our challenge for today. Let me know if you like these types of.
Yeah, I like these. I like this challenge video. My favorite stuff. I mean, I would say that the Taco Bell, the style swap, and the gender swap were my 3 favorites. Maybe it's because they were the 3 of the highest quality. They were the highest quality, while the other 3 were like either timed or from memory or something. While he could actually access the logos and stuff. So I think he's really good. You should go subscribe to him, and
Videos. It was
let's
a
see
little
what
different,
videos
so if you
recommended
did, I might
next.
make more of them in the future. And if you want to watch me take some...
Ooh, we might watch that one next. But thank you guys for watching this. See you next time. Like if you want to see another one of these reactions. See ya.